SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation. SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation.
නව ඩොමෙක්ස් පැල්ලම් සහ විසබීජ අවම කර දින 3ක් දක්වා ටොයිලට් එක ෆ්‍රෙෂ්ව තමයි ඩොමෙක්ස්.
Tonight, price of closure. Alarming levels of learning loss suffered by school children since last year as 4 senior grades set to resume schooling tomorrow.
Parents should not get scared to send their children to schools.
Second into monsoon. Reservoir spill gates open and towns inundated as heavy deluge continues.
If you recognize any free land sign, please move away from the areas and move quickly to safe places.
Progress. Sri Lanka's primary healthcare gains draw praise from the World Bank.
I want to congratulate Sri Lanka for this pioneering effort.
All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Sunday, the 7th of November 2021.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammik Eknaik. The toll of the pandemic as well as the trade unions induced learning disruption of school children has finally been quantified and it is alarming. Experts say that the learning loss in the Western Province alone is 90% this year. The news comes as 4 senior grades are set to resume schooling tomorrow.
Under the second phase of the Ministry of Education's plans to reopen schools, students of grades 10, 11, 12 and 13 will resume regular schooling tomorrow. It involves grades 1 to 5 and 10 to 13 carrying out their academic activities under a set of special health guidelines prepared by the Ministry of Health. As for grades 6 to 9, the Ministry of Education says that measures will be taken to see them return to school soon. The resumption of schools is a welcome move, considering the constant disruptions the sector suffered owing to the pandemic, as well as the government, teachers and principal trade union strikes. The National Institute of Education has quantified the learning loss experienced by students this year and last year. The findings don't make good reading. The learning loss this year so far in the Western Province is estimated at 90%, while that figure for last year is 55%. Outside the Western Province, the impact of the disruption is slightly less. In the other 8 provinces, the learning loss this year is 70%, with it being 45% in 2020.
අපි යෝජනාවක් කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් නොවැම්බර් මාසෙ සිට ලබන මාර්තු මාසෙ දක්වා සති 20ක කාලයක් පාසල් පවත්වලා මේ ඉන්න පන්තියේ සිට ඊළඟ පන්ති වලට යාමට අත්‍යවශ්‍ය ඉගෙනුම් කොටස දරුවන්ට උගන්වලා ඊළඟ පන්ති වලට ගෙන යාමටත් අපි යෝජනා කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව දැන් 3 පන්තියේ සිටපු දරුවාගේ 3 පන්තියත් 2020 දී 4 පන්තියත් කියන පන්ති දෙකේම ඉගෙනුම් පාඩුව අපි ගණන් බලලා තියෙනවා. මේ දෙකම ආවරණය කරගන්න අර සති 20 කොහොමද පාවිච්චි කරන්න කියන එක යෝජනා කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව සති 20ක කාලයක් තුල ඒ ඉගෙනුම් පාඩුව ආවරණය කරගන්න ආකාරය අපි දමන අමාත්‍යාංශයට යෝජනා කරලා තියෙනවා. අපිට දැනගන්න ලැබෙන පරිදි යම් විභාග පැවැත්වෙනවා පෙබරවාරි හෝ මාර්තු වල. ඒතර ඒ කාලයට මගහැරුණොත් නැවතත් සති 20 පොඩක් ඉදිරියට යාමට පුළුවන් අප්‍රේල් මාසෙ දක්වා. ඒ අනුව අපේ යෝජනාව සැලකිල්ලටගෙන ඒ ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමට එකඟ බව දැන් අපිට පැහැදිලි වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Another element which requires attention with the grades 10, 11, 12 and 13 returning to schools tomorrow is their mixing in the society. In this backdrop, health experts say that it is best for adults to set an example for children to follow.
We know that children, they can learn very fast if the adults and parents, they follow all the health regulation activities. The children automatically follow all the good words, and so it's not necessary to force them to follow the health regulations, health guidelines and safety measures. But if the parents, adults and all the citizens, all the older group follow all these health regulations, especially the wearing mask properly, washing hands and keep distance as much as possible, children invariably invariably used to do this. Especially children over 2 years of age can wear a mask properly, and they are used to that, and usually they request to wear a mask because most of the families they use this. So it's very important to continue these good practices throughout the schooling, while going to school as well as coming home from school, especially when they are using public transport system.
Though there have been clear mentions of new COVID cases potentially rising with the school reopening, given the vaccination efforts, health experts insist that schools are a safe space for children.
Even a child develop the disease, and if he attend to school without knowing that he is having the disease, the risk of spread of disease to other children and teachers and the other community is very minimum in comparison to adult transmission. We recommend that parents should not get panic or get scared unnecessary to send their children to schools, because it's a safe place at the moment, but always we have to maintain proper hygienic practices as well as the given health care guidelines.
Big 3.
The country is currently experiencing the second intermonsoon rains, and the Department of Meteorology expects the heavy deluge to continue in the coming days as well. Several provinces are expected to be hit with over 150 millimetres of rainfall. With that in mind, the National Building Research Organisation extended landslide warnings in several districts as well.
Several parts of the island are currently experiencing heavy deluge. According to the Department of Meteorology, the surge in downpours is due to the second intermonsoon rains, which are common in the months of October and November. What's more, 30% of the annual rainfall is contributed by the second intermonsoon rains. As a result of this heavy deluge, spill gates of several reservoirs are now open. 3 spill gates of the Lakshpana reservoir was opened today. Further 2 spill gates were also opened at the Rajangani reservoir. Several spill gates at the Tabova, Yodavava and Polgola reservoirs too had to be opened today. The Norton Bridge reservoir meanwhile was full to the brim, and all its spill gates had to be opened. Following the move, the Disaster Management Centre requests the people living in low-lying areas to be vigilant of any flood situations.
We have located all these search and rescue equipment with the teams and the military and the police already been standby for all upcoming disaster management activities, and district disaster management units and the government officers are standby and having a lot of interaction in between the communities and all. And also we are advising all these communities not to use the current water streams, and also the no need to bathe any unwanted areas and all. 117 call center number is completely open with that particular situation. All these disaster management activities and all communication matters has to be coordinated by the Emergency Operations Centre and the Disaster Management Centre.
The town of Akurana in Kandy usually suffers floods with the onset of heavy rains. Following the heavy deluge last night, the town is now inundated. As the second intermonsoon is well and truly set, the Department of Meteorology expects the rains to continue over the coming days.
During next 24 hours, very heavy falls above 150 mm can be expected in some places, Western Sabaragamuwa provinces as well as in Kandy and Nuwara district. Heavy falls above 100 mm rainfall also can be expected in Matale district, Northwestern, Northern and Uva provinces, and also Wall and Masa district. This showery and windy conditions can be expected during next 3 days.
Meanwhile, in Bandarawela, the road from Vavathanna to Ambegoda was closed after a tree fell across the road. The tree also damaged several lampposts and communication lines. Taking the heavy deluge into account, the National Building Research Organisation extended the early landslide warnings issued to the districts of Badulla, Gaul, Kandy, Kegaul, Mathura and Nuwara.
If you recognize any free landslide signs such as development of cracks on the ground, deeper cracks and ground subsidence, slanting of trees, electrical posts, fences and telephone posts, cracks in the floors and walls of buildings which are built on slopes, the sudden appearance of springs emerging muddy water or disappearance of existing springs, please move away from the areas and move quickly to safe places.
State Minister of Urban Development, Waste Disposal and Community Cleanliness, Dr. Nalaka Godeheva today moved to give clarity about the Gazette notification, which transfers some 3,000 acres of the Muthurajula wetland to the Urban Development Authority. Now, with there being protests and petitions filed over the move, he says that incorrect interpretation of the Gazette has led to the confusion, and as per the Gazette, the land will be transferred to the Ministry of Wildlife after turning it into a wildlife reserve.
An extraordinary gazette was issued by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa in October, vesting nearly 3,000 acres of land of the Muthurajawala wetlands with the Urban Development Authority for the purpose of conservation and sustainable use of the Muthurajawala Environmental Sensitive Zone and to develop it as a wetland in line with the Ramsar Convention to which Sri Lanka is a party of. This was done in order to prevent unauthorized landfilling and encroachments of land area belonging to the wetland. However, yesterday His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith filed a writ petition before the Supreme Court requesting the gazette to be nullified. The Cardinal stated that the transfer of such land to the authority would affect the residents of the area. Protests are also worked off against the move to transfer the relevant land to the UDA. However, today the State Minister of Urban Development, Waste Disposal and Community Cleanliness, Dr. Nalaka Godaheva, clarified the contents of the Gazette notification.
පහත්දින සංවර්ධන අධිකාරිය යටතේ සංරක්ෂණ කටයුතු කරලා අවසානයේ වනජීවි රක්ෂිතයක් ලෙස වනජීවි අමාත්‍යාංශය යටතේ පවත්වාගෙන යනවා. වැරදියට අපරිරෝපණය කරලා මේක සංවර්ධනය කරන්න යනවා. ඒ සමාගමට පාවා දෙන්න ඕන කියලා ආමතක වෙලා හිටිනවා. අපි කිසි වෙලාවක ඒ දේ කරන්නේ නැහැ.
The 54th commemoration of late DA Rajapaksa was worked up today in Tangul. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa led the tributes.
The 54th commemoration of renowned politician D.A. Rajapaksa falls today. A commemoration ceremony was organized at the D.A. Rajapaksa statue along the Tangol Mahavella Road this morning. The occasion was graced by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Following the performance of the commemorative song in honor of the late politician, those present, led by the President and the Prime Minister, paid floral tributes to the D.A. Rajapaksa statue. In the meantime, floral tributes were paid to the monuments of D.A. Rajapaksa and Madam Rajapaksa in Madamulana of Veerakatiya last evening. The tributes were led by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa meanwhile proposes a sensitive leadership and a government with a heart and mind to bring relief to the people's problems. Speaking in Tissa Maharama, he said that the country has regressed and the present is reminiscent of the 70s, when hardships were plenty.
The party office of the co-organizer of the Samagi Janabala Vegya for Tissa Maharama was inaugurated today under the patronage of leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa. Following the ceremony, the opposition leader spoke to media.
ගොවි ජනතාවගේ සරු බිම අද නිසරු බිමක් බවට පත් වෙලා දුර්දාන්ත රාජ්‍ය ප්‍රතිපත්තීන් තුල ගුරු පරපුර රවට්ටලා නොමගේ යවලා අද තරඟෙට බඩු මිල ඉහළ යනවා මිනිස්සුන්ගේ අතේ සල්ලි නැහැ 70 77 කාලේ වගේ අද පෝලිං යුගයක් බිහි වෙලා මේකද වියත් ආණ්ඩුව තීන්දුව තීරණ ගැනීමේ ක්‍රියාවලියෙන් උගතුන් ඉවත් කරලා තමන් කියන දේ විතරයි හරි නිවන් ප්‍රතිපත්තියක ඉඳගෙන කටයුතු කරන ආණ්ඩුවක් අද අපිට පේනවා પાස්පෝර්ට් පෝලිම රටේ අනාගතය පිළිබඳව මේ වගේ අඳුරු දැක්මක් තරුණ පරපුරට තිබුණද මොකක්ද මේ රජය වෙනුවට අපි ගෙනෙන වැඩසටහන අපි අදහස් කරනවා සොඳුරු රට සෞභාග්‍යමත් දේශය ඒ වගේම රටට සංවේදී නායකත්වය හිතක් පපුවක් ඇති ආණ්ඩුවක්.
We'll see you shortly after this break. Stay with us.
මිලියන 18.8 නිවස ලක්ෂ 5ක් ගෙවා දැන්ම වෙන් කරවා ගන්න මල්බෙරි රෙසිඩන්ස්.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Practice Manager of Health, Nutrition and Population Global Practice of the World Bank for Sri Lanka, Trina Huck, commends Sri Lanka's gains in its primary healthcare system. Her observations came while inspecting the primary healthcare units in the Gampaha district.
The Primary Healthcare Strengthening Project, which is implemented by the Ministry of Health, focuses on developing the primary healthcare services of the country's health system. The World Bank funded project with financial assistance amounting to $200 million is to conclude on the 31st of December 2023. Yesterday, representatives of the funding agency of the project inspected the primary healthcare units in the Gampaha district. During the tour, they also inspected the primary medical care unit in the area of Mudaragama. Speaking to media, practice manager of Health, Nutrition and Population Global Practice of the World Bank, with responsibility for Sri Lanka, Trina Hawk commended the gains the country has made in its primary healthcare systems.
I have been visiting now over the last few days several healthcare hospitals and units at the primary healthcare level to look at the impact of the primary healthcare system strengthening project, including today Mudaragama. And I have been very impressed by the impact that the project has been having with the initiatives of local doctors and medical officers and so on. They seem to be really transforming the healthcare service delivery for the community members, both women and men. Now I see and I have heard from the community and from the medical staff themselves that whereas previously there was no real mechanism to identify early the non-communicable diseases that people were suffering from, now there are mechanisms to detect early and then do regular follow-up so that people can be helped with their hypertension, diabetes, kidney disease, cancer, all of these different NCDs, and really improve their health faster and in a much more affordable way. So it's very impressive, and I wanted to congratulate Sri Lanka for this pioneering effort.
Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu says that the country wants to expand ties with Sri Lanka and Asia as a whole, noting that Turkey seeks to expand financial relations between the two nations from the existing $102 million to $500 million. Inaugurating a new office of Sri Lanka's Antalya Honorary Consulate General in the town of Alanya yesterday, Cavusoglu said that the Turkey wants to flourish holistic relations with Asia that has become the center of global economic power. He also expressed Turkey's desire to promote cooperation in economy, culture and education. The Turkish foreign minister is also quoted saying that the maintaining of economic relationships that are based on some specialized products would be unsustainable, and had further suggested that the relations should be incorporated and explored by the health and tourism sectors. A safari goer was killed today after the vehicle he was travelling in toppled in the Hurulu Eco Park in Habarana. The incident occurred at around 2 in the afternoon. According to our area correspondent, the safari vehicle entered the park with 10 persons, including the driver. At some point during the journey, an elephant had given chase to the vehicle, which in turn prompted the driver to increase speed. However, the driver had lost control of the vehicle and it had toppled. Following the incident, a 46-year-old from the area of Kottava lost his life. 9 others, including the driver, were admitted to the divisional hospital in Habarana and the base hospital in Dambulla. It was also reported that the injured persons were admitted to the hospital 40 minutes after the incident. Investigations into the incident are currently underway by the Habarana police. We will see you shortly. Bear with us. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, market analysts expect the investor focus in illiquid high market cap counters to continue during the fresh week of trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange starting from tomorrow. The all-share price index ended 220 points higher at 10,632.21 last Friday, while the S&P SL20 index of more liquid stocks lowered to 3,640.27 after losing 16.33 points. Now here's Dimantha Matthew with what we can expect at the market in the coming week.
With the investors continuing to focus on a couple of illiquid high market cap counters, we feel that trend may continue for yet another couple of days because of the overall herd mentality that is coming into the market. So with the heavy amount of retail participation in a bull run, it is very common to have this herd mentality, and with that we feel that this trend of moving into liquid counters and strong buying coming into this set of counters can continue for a couple of more days, and that is likely to drive overall turnover levels, transactions, and can be maintained at high levels, especially during the early part of the upcoming week. Afterwards, we feel that there could be some selling pressure in these counters. However, it's earnings seasons and strong earnings are getting released, especially in the manufacturer sector counters, in the material sector, capital goods sector. Overall index is likely to be on an upward trend because of this retail domination in the market, and with it we feel that the overall activity in the market may remain high.
Indian capital New Delhi woke up to a persisting smog situation with severe air quality index today. Residents were complaining of breathing difficulties and burning eyes. One Delhi resident said that it is all smoggy in the morning and that the environment is slightly cold, but it feels like chilly in his eyes. According to the Central Pollution Control Board, the air quality index was recorded at 437 in the severe category this morning. New Delhi government employed as many as 144 water tankers to spray water across the city to help in mitigating the impact of smog. However, environmentalists believe it is too little, too late. Toxic air kills more than 1 million people annually in India and takes an economic toll on the country's populous northern states and the capital city of 20 million people. In other news overseas, non-Muslims will be allowed to marry, divorce and get joint child custody under civil law in Abu Dhabi, according to a new decree issued today by its ruler. The decree from Abu Dhabi's Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Nahyan, who is also president of the UAE Federation of Seven Emirates, said the law covers civil marriage, divorce, alimony, joint child custody and proof of paternity and inheritance. The state news agency WAM said that the move aims to enhance the position and global competitiveness of the emirate as one of the most attractive destinations for talent and skills. The report described the civil law regulation, non-Muslim family matters, as being the first of its kind in the world in line with international best practices. A new court to handle non-Muslim family matters will be set up in Abu Dhabi and will operate in both English and Arabic. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.